Today, we're diving into something that is very neglected when it comes to leadership, and that is leadership blind spot that breaks down so many leaders. Most often, people don't really notice it when they are in this pattern because it diminishes their growth, it affects their way of thinking, it affects the way they make decisions until they start seeing their losing their performance, they start seeing that is destroying their career, they're losing lots of opportunity before they start seeing the real impact of what is going on in their lives. So today we are going to dive into the ways we can identify these destructive leadership patterns, and most importantly, we are going to see how we can resolve them, bring out solutions before your growth is being stagnated, you are being diminished from your real potentials, and make sure that we come out with solutions. As you know, this is Figure Out PM. We break down the messy world of project management into something you can actually use. And I believe so much that as a project manager, as a leader, there are some patterns that you need to embody in yourself to make sure that you become a reality of what people really want in your team, your organization, or wherever you're functioning. If you're joining us for the first time, my name is Valerie, and if you're figuring out things the way I am, then you're already ahead of the game. So let's start from here. What are blind spots? Blind spots are areas in your leadership journey where you make decisions and you don't really see how they are affecting you or how they are sabotaging your growth. For regular people, blind spots just make them struggle, but when it comes to leaders, it affects them massively because leaders have to make impact, they have to be very regular with their team. They have to make sure that they are managing huge number of people. Now you need to understand that when it comes to this blind spot, they don't just affect you as a leader, but they affect the entire team. They affect the entire team's culture. They affect the people that you are constantly reaching out to, the people that you are managing, your team, and the external world in which you are working in. So this blind spot is like a blockage within your scenario where you want to succeed and you don't really get to see the success or what you have been dreaming of. At this point now, let's dive into four most common leadership blind spots that I've seen across organization and I've also read about them, and they are affecting the way people think, they are affecting people's behavior and the way they make their decisions. The first one is single perspective. Now, there are times that we make decisions and convince ourselves that this is the right decision for the organization, this is the right decision for the team, just because we want to save time. And here's the thing, when you put yourself in that scenario or in that situation, you have considered yourself as the hammer of that team or of that company, and everyone else becomes the nail. You just step into everyone's foot and then you make decisions thinking that that is the best for the organization. But here is the truth, no one knows everything. Real leaders always want to see from others' perspective. They always want to reach out to others, collaborate with people before making decisions. The second blind spot is insecurity. Insecure leaders always think of themselves first. They micromanage a lot and they crave for validation. They don't want to empower people, they just want to think about themselves and make decisions for themselves just to stay in that position. How do you know if you are an insecure leader? You notice that you just want to withhold information to yourself. You don't want to share with people. You don't want to give validation to people, their efforts that they have put into the work. You don't want to give them compensation for that, and you just want to stay in that position. You fear when your team is growing. Your team is growing. You think that decisions are going to affect the way you are winning in your organization, and these people micromanage a lot. They micromanage the resources. They just want to stay in that position and stay in control. The third blind spot is ego. Leaders who are driven by ego tend to believe that they know everything, tend to think that the rules that have been set for the organization do not apply to them. And when things go wrong in the organization, they blame people who are surrounded by them, and they don't want to accept other people's ideas. And the worst of it all is that they stop learning. So how do you know if you are a leader who is driven by ego. The first thing is that you think that you can do it all by yourself. You tend to reject people's ideas and you end up blaming people for what goes wrong in your organization. You have to be careful not to lead with ego. The fourth blind spot is weak character. People often think that hard work, talent, opportunity is what defines your success. Yeah, all of those things do matter, but what keeps it at the top is your character. When I'm talking about character here, I'm talking about the consistency in your values, the consistency in your words, and the consistency in your actions. That is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. So ask yourself this question: are you that person that break promises to yourself and to others? Are you that kind of person that can tell a lie just to get a spot? Or are you that person that have noticed that people are very hesitant enough to trust you? Then you need to work on your character, because those opportunities, your talent, the hard work is going to take you at the top then. But what is actually going to keep you there is your character. You need to have a good character to build a reputation that is going to manage people, that is going to lead people. Leadership is very important. Work on your character. So we have identified these blind spots. Now let's see how we can solve these blind spots from stagnating our growth. The first thing you need to do is make sure that you identify that blind spot. You need to assume that you have that blind spot, because the moment you think that you don't have a blind spot, that there is your blind spot. The second thing is you need to ask the people around you. You need to ask the people around your circle. They might see things in you that you are not capable of seeing. The third is make sure that you solve it. How do you solve this? You don't do this alone. You need to make sure that you have a community. You have people who can help you, people who can assist you walk through this process. The fourth is you want to share it, right? Your ability to be vulnerable makes you stronger. And lastly, you want to make sure that you build a community where people can always assist you in this your leadership journey, in this spotlighting this blind spot and making sure that everything works well for you. So here is the big question: what is the most blind spot that you're finding difficulties in? Is it perspective? Is it ego? Is it character? Or is it insecurity? You need to outline which of them you're facing difficulties in, because this is it. These blind spots do not define you, but if you don't identify them, then they are definitely going to define who you are. So the choice is yours. So here is how we identify our blind spots. We go through your feedback and on our social media platforms and make sure that we identify those blind spots, and then we admit that this is what we are facing, these are the challenges that we are facing, and then we work on it as a community. So if anything I've shared with you today resonated, if it sparked a thought, a question, or even just a feeling, then please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And my commitment to you alongside with my team is simple: to consistently bring you real, honest, and valuable content that helps you figure out project management, leadership, one conversation at a time. Thank you for being here.